Welcome to Early. Today's guests are Eric and Ethan Parker, the founders of Giddy, a mobile crypto wallet designed to make self-custody easy and accessible to the less technologically capable amongst us. Around 2021, Eric and Ethan, who are both tech guys, as you'll hear, they got hooked on DeFi, but recognized the challenges of existing wallets and the UI UX. They were determined to build a crypto wallet that would allow everyday people, normies, to manage a mobile wallet that's secure, accessible, and recoverable if lost. Giddy's team of creative engineers developed a groundbreaking auto gas feature for Polygon, forking existing smart contracts, making Giddy the only digital wallet that enables users to conduct transactions on the Polygon network without having to carry Matic. It's all built into the wallet. This feature will soon be enabled on other blockchains and cross-chain through the Giddy wallet. So check out Giddy at Giddy, that's GIDDY.co, and on the App Store and Google Play. Great to meet you guys. DSide here, Eric and Ethan Parker from Giddy. How are you guys today?
Awesome. Yeah, doing great.
Nice.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, totally. Great to meet you both. And I just learned that they're in Salt Lake City, a wall apart from each other.
Yeah, one of the few companies that's actually going to an office. Well, half and half. Half of us are fully remote. Half of us come to an office every day.
Nice. Bankless Consulting started as fully remote. We started during the pandemic. We still are fully remote. I've met a bunch of the founders, not all of them yet, though. It's working for us. But how are you guys liking office life?
Oh, I love it. When I was an engineer, I kind of liked the flexibility of working from home sometimes, but nowadays I just hate working from home. I love coming in. There's just, fewer distractions, and I love interacting with people, and I do it every day.
Yeah, I get that.
Most of us at the company have known each other for a little while, so we work really well together, which is always nice when you actually like the people that you see every day. But being in the office helps communication, it helps when things go quicker, and we actually enjoy each other's presence. So that's a helpful part of it.
I could see that. We definitely have some bottlenecks due to remote work at times. Are you guys both engineers? Both have an engineering background?
Yes, but so my degree in college was accounting, but I was a self-taught iOS engineer after that, and then I've done several bootstrap startups. I have done engineering, but I would say entrepreneur is kind of like what I've always been, what I always will be.
You always wanted to get into business or start a business yourself?
It's more like I couldn't help myself. It's more of a condition than a hobby or a desire. My first kind of real business was when I was 18 years old, and then my first realer business when I was about 21 in college, and made paper daily planners, and I sold them to 100 different college bookstores. I invented this goofy little thing, and they still sell today. I sold that company like 10 years ago, but it's still going somehow. But yeah, anyway, I did engineering just because I thought, if I combine entrepreneurship with code, then that's how people become, real successful.
Yeah, sure. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, so in college, I did computer science, information technology. So my career spent mainly developing iOS applications for startups around Utah and bigger companies outside. The last job I had was actually an iOS developer for Walmart. So I was helping to rebuild their e-commerce app. And that's really how I got into crypto, was building computers to do mining, for starting with Bitcoin, then onto Ethereum. And then, 2020 or so was when I really got into DeFi after doing some Ethereum mining. So my background is more computer science programming, and that's kind of how I approach the DeFi and how we started the company.
Yeah. Had you guys ever been in business together or had a business together before Giddy?
Yeah, this is like the eighth or ninth or 10th one.
Oh, nice.
A lot of side projects, which is, it's funny you mention that, because we get asked occasionally, like, how is it working with your brother? I could never work with a sibling. And we got all that stuff worked out a long time ago. So the first couple attempts, they're a little bit rocky, but we both are, got to a point in our career, in our entrepreneurial lives as well, that, yeah, we got that stuff figured out. Now we kind of have a system and kind of know what we want out of it. So it's actually worked hugely to our benefit, just because the level of trust and communication is there.
Yeah, we were in a band together in high school, and we sort of have this sixth sense thing that, like, in a investor negotiation or just whatever, we kind of already know what the other one is thinking, and our personalities are kind of complementary in a lot of ways. So I would say it's a superpower and not a detraction.
And you know, the common language of memes is a big thing. We both grew up watching
conversation and like Simpsons quotes only. Like
nice. Two parts of the same brain, basically, right?
Yeah.
So you were dabbling in DeFi around 2020, playing around, and what was sort of the pathway to inspire you to develop your own marketplace, your own DEX?
Yeah, so at Giddy, we're making a non-custodial wallet that it's built on a foundation of private key management, where we break it up, make it recoverable. It's both off-chain, multi-sig, and recoverable. Really high-tech stuff. And then we're doing some easy DeFi integrations. So it's more like we were looking at this from the perspective of what kind of product needs to exist to increase DeFi adoption and to make blockchain usable, and whatever new use cases happen to come up, how do we support those as well? So we're looking at this, you know, Ethan and I, we both did mobile apps. Our other co-founders of the company, we're all programmers, we did mobile apps. So our perspective really is a user experience, product design, how do you scale a good and easy to use app, right? So anyway, that's part of my perspective. The other part of it is I just got completely bitten by the bug. I as soon as I discovered DeFi, and I got into Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain shortly after that, and Polygon, I just loved it. I couldn't put it down. I got completely addicted and was, you know, up all night and awake in the morning doing these token drops, and like every meme coin you've ever heard of, like the earliest ones, you know, like Rick and Morty coin, or like some of the more literal ones, like the what's that one? Like
Nigerian Prince.
Nigerian Prince token. That was
a good one.
That was a funny one. So once you earn, you know, you make some money, you lose some money. I got more interested in kind of the programming side of it, and I wanted to kind of create something. And Ethan and I got introduced to a kind of a local entrepreneur and angel investor here in Utah. He was doing a lot of DeFi stuff, got some money stuck in a really technical thing, and I helped him get it unstuck, and that kind of got the conversation going for, you know, it's so interesting, but it's so hard to do.
Yeah, it was not a small amount of money. And our first angel investment, we actually took in Cake token from Binance Smart Chain. So it was just appropriate. You know, everything kind of fell into place that was 2021, early 2021. Everything really fell into place that year. And by the end of the year, we had a $8.5 million seed round raised. It was crazy.
Wow. And did you had a plan where you were going with that?
Oh, totally. Yeah, the mission is let's make DeFi easy and accessible for everybody. Because, you know, MetaMask and private keys, it's nuts. It's not for the average person. No one has any business becoming an IT security professional who doesn't want to.
Yeah, and even technical people, fairly technical people, have all made mistakes with a MetaMask wallet. Yeah, almost everybody. I know. Same here. Right. So so normies are not. They're not going near it. You know, I've always recognized that the sooner we get to a more easily usable user experience, user interface, the more realistic adoption is going to be.
And this company actually started as consulting. We'd get on a Zoom call with those folks so this angel investor, he had a lot of friends who knew that he was making money in DeFi and they wanted to try it out. We'd get on Zoom calls with them and show them how to click all the different buttons. Here's how you on-ramp money. Here's how you do your private key, blah, 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 blah. Every single time those folks were just like, dude, this is ridiculous. Can you do it for me? Yep. And we're like, we actually checked, and then we went and talked to some lawyers, and they're like, unless you're going to do a hedge fund and do all the stuff with the SEC or whatever, they're like, don't touch it. So that's when it really clicked for us. We're like, hold up, we're actually good at writing code. We can make a product. Let's scale this by solving it with technology. And by the way, all those decisions that we made, you know, building this tech, we knew that it had to be as close as possible to the core tenets of blockchain. It has to be decentralized. It has to be trustless. It has to be permissionless. And that's why we knew that we needed to solve the problem of how do everyday people manage a private key? How do everyday people have a MetaMask, but without having to actually think about being a cybersecurity expert?
Yep.
So we went from talking to real people who were really interested but couldn't solve it to making the tech that solves it in a scalable way for everybody.
So that's pretty broad, right? Got to make it easy for everyday users. What specific problems were you trying to solve?
Yeah, so the first one, what got a lot of us into DeFi is just like ridiculous APYs on chain. That's fun. That's exciting, And so we thought, all right, well, let's make it easy to stake. And then that brought up the problem, well, but they have to have a private key. How do they manage that? And so we kind of worked, but we started with the end and worked backwards. So in order to have like the average person do a one swipe stake, which is live today in the app, by the way, we had to go back to like, well, what about approvals? So like smart contract batching is part of it. And then we're like, what about gas? And so we built stuff that fully abstracts gas. And then we're like, well, what about private key? And that's probably the most significant thing that we have built, that we have patented, is in the process of getting a patent for, is our private key solution, which is to shard out the private key, make it totally fully abstracted from the user's view. Like, we don't hit them with KYC or like a seed phrase right when they open the app. It's just make an account with Google or whatever. It's fully abstracted. And so that those are sort of the big pieces of IP that we've built, like full private key abstraction, full gas abstraction, full contract approval, and staking abstraction, to where you feel like you're just using Robinhood. It's just easy.
How is it no gas or gas abstraction? How does that work?
So gas still gets paid, obviously. It has to happen, but there's a standard out in the wild that it hasn't really gotten a lot of usage. It's an amazing, awesome piece of technology, but it basically allows somebody to become a paymaster. You can pay gas by proxy. So our users, they don't need to worry about which token gets paid. We basically take care of that in the background with these smart contracts that kind of like route the gas for them. So it still gets paid.
Nice.
We have the option to either subsidize it or mark it up, depending on the user and how engaged they are, that kind of thing. But as far as the usability of the app, our users don't have to even worry about what a gas token is. They still see it broken down. It's disclosed very clearly in like the fees. It's just called a network fee. But our users don't have to know what a gas token is on whatever network they're going to use. Yeah, so
in each of these cases with private key, gas, staking, all this stuff, we basically just took like some existing code that was already out there, improved upon it, and made it proprietary. And that's why the company is valuable.
Does that process affect the speed of transactions or the priority?
Nope. That's one of the things Ethan just mentioned is this transaction batching that we do. It's tightly coupled with the ability to do an approval correctly. So our smart contracts, or our users' wallets, when they interact with a smart contract, they set the approval to the exact right amount, which means that all of our approvals are at zero. There's none of this infinite approval problem going on. So when a user taps one button, the smart contract on the other side, it does a whole bunch of steps for them, puts that transaction on the blockchain, and it actually reduces overhead a little bit. So you're still doing the fundamental operations that cost gas, but it improves efficiency. And again, we're really, really focused on the user experience of it all. So rather than swapping a couple times, making an LP, doing the stake, all that kind of stuff, our user signs a message that has all the stuff encoded into it, and then it goes on the blockchain, and just as fast as any other transaction, except for now you can go from having like USDC to staked into a curve pool in under a second.
Yeah, just imagine like even just as simple as a 3-part LP. There's a balancer pool that's wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped ETH, and stable. Imagine having to like buy each of those coins, approve each of those coins, make the LP, and then stake it. It's like all this time. Even if you're a pro, it still takes a lot of time. In Giddy, it's literally like swipe, wait, done, because Polygon is fast. So it's pretty insane.
Nice. Is that why you chose Polygon? And by the way, I've done that process. Is that why you chose Polygon?
Yeah, Polygon was it definitely speed is a big thing. And when we started building this at the time, if I remember right, doing a regular like peer-to-peer send on Ethereum was like $8 or $9.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of NFT sales going on, a lot of craziness. So going back to our perspective of the usability and the user experience, Polygon was fast, and the transactions are much cheaper, and that's still pretty much the case. All that being said, we're going to be launching new chains, this year, aiming to do that soon. But we just started with what we thought would be the best kind of user experience for new users, which was another kind of focus of what we wanted to do. We really tried to build this in a way that inexperienced people who don't really have the time to learn every single detail about this tech stack, they can just put a couple bucks in there and play around. So yeah, Polygon was a really good place to start for that. And the team is amazing, by the way. Working with those guys has been just phenomenal.
Absolutely. So I played around with the Giddy app this morning. And by the way, I imagine that's where the name comes from, Giddy app.
Oh, like
yeah. Or did I just make that up?
Well,
no, it's
definitely, it's kind of like WhatsApp, what's up. Well, like, so the name of the company is Giddy. And like at first when we were trying to figure out branding, it was just kind of like happy or exciting, but everyone just kept saying Giddy up over and over and over. Like, all right, fine, Western it is. Here we go. So yeah, the name of the company is not Giddy Up or Giddy App, but certainly it's all, every play on words is a fair game.
That's great.
Happy coincidence.
And it's appropriate for you guys. I mean, I'm in New York City. It wouldn't make sense if I started a cowboy, a Western themed app. So yeah, I was playing around with it this morning, and the thing that really like got me was the private key technology that you guys have. Was this from your own brainchild? And tell me more about it.
Well, as Isaac Newton said, we stood on the shoulders of giants. I mean, to like conjure this stuff out of nowhere, that it just rarely happens in the history of humanity. It's built on some stuff that's tried and true.
Yeah, there's actually an algorithm that originated from the military, from like the 50s and 60s, where you have a piece of information that needs to be kept secret, but you need other entities out there to protect part of that secret for you, right? That's what this whole idea is based off of. And I feel like a broken record, but we're always thinking about the user experience. And at first we're talking about a contract wallet. And when you look at the user experience of a contract wallet, so you have to spend a little bit of money to deploy it. You're going to have a different public address per blockchain that you go to. And you can do pretty cool things like multi-sig and stuff, but you end up with an experience where the user is essentially managing a couple different private keys if they want to have a multi-sig contract wallet with a different address across chain. So my big motivation here was we need to figure out a way to do this off chain. Like, I want you to have bits and pieces of your life, things that you know, things you are, things you own, that you can use to protect your private key that are part of your everyday life. So that's like social accounts, right? Google, email, Apple account, and there's maybe even some other providers that can help with that. You can create a backup phrase, kind of like a password, that allows you to protect your private key further. You can use either SMS or like an authenticator app to also protect your account. And then you can also rely on a third party, such as Giddy, to protect one part of this account. So it was really important to me that the ways that a user, you, protects your account are familiar to you. You totally understand how to protect your Gmail. You understand how to have good hygiene around your authenticator app on your phone. They're accessible, they're easy to get at. And having those things off chain, it means that you can use those exact same bits of your identity across every single blockchain. We built this as a regular EOA, right? Externally owned account, where you have one public address and a private key that gets protected. And it provides this user experience now where you get in the app, you sign up with Google, you do your 2FA, and now you have a truly self-custody DeFi or blockchain account that is multi-sig and also actually recoverable. If you lose your phone, if you lose Gmail, you can re-download the app, you can do this recovery process, and you're back in business.
That's the big one that hit for me. I mean, obviously accessibility, security, but recoverability is, I mean, that to me feels like a breakthrough. I've spoken with founders who are working on projects to put like the deed of a home or a car on chain. And, of course, the first question that every user has is, so if I get hacked or lose access to my wallet, do I lose my house? Like, is that how it works? So I think you're solving for that.
Absolutely.
It's a big part of it.
People wanting to tokenize like real assets as well. And I'm like, my personal residence is like the last thing I would want to have on the blockchain.
Yeah, your most valuable asset, right?
Yeah.
Well, and what's really important about what we do too is if your Gmail account got compromised, for example, the bad guy, they still wouldn't have your wallet. So each individual part of the Giddy security mechanism, it does not mean that you're toast. Whereas there's a couple other apps out there where you can put your private key in iCloud, for example. And if someone were to hack your Apple account or iCloud and they got your seed phrase, like that's it. It's a single point of failure. So there was a couple really specific points that we needed to solve. And I guess going back to your original question, this really is kind of like a modernized take on a pretty old crypto algorithm for keeping something secret and kind of storing those things. It's kind of like a treasure map with holes punched in it, where you have to have
your own decentralized network, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Another ways I like to. Yeah. So MPC wallets, really popular, right? Another way I like to look at it is it's an MPC wallet where you are in complete control of every individual shard. If you want to give somebody else or a different entity a piece of your private key to protect, you can, but it's MPC recovery where you have complete control over all of it. So, if you wanted to do a transaction at like midnight, you don't have to call your cousin and be like, hey, prove this thing for me real quick. You have complete control to recreate your private key whenever you want to.
And I think if I understand correctly, once you log in, you have access to your wallet, you basically can do functions like sign in with Ethereum. So you have that sort of ease of use and accessibility with the wallet once you have ownership of the wallet, or once you're in the wallet.
So
is that accurate? Because I mean, there's always the balance of security and accessibility and ease of use, right?
Yeah. So are you talking about like Wallet Connect?
Not necessarily Wallet Connect, but there's definitely a movement for SIWE, sign in with Ethereum, right? So being able to use your wallet address to or ENS to log into anything and everything, right?
Yeah, it's the exact same architecture as you owning a MetaMask and signing in with Ethereum, signing messages with your private key. It's just that the actual private key itself is both protected by multiple factors and also recoverable. So yeah, it's the exact same. You're interacting with the blockchain the exact same way as if you were just using MetaMask. Just there's technology on top of that makes it better to use.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess, maybe we didn't like super emphasize it a few minutes ago, but one of the amazing things about what we've built is that because we're Ethereum virtual machine compatible, as we add blockchains like ETH mainnet and Avalanche and BSC that are all EVM, you don't need a new private key for each of those chains. And you'll be able to because right now we're on Polygon. So sometimes we have people like accidentally send ETH mainnet ETH over to our wallet. We're like, all right, here's how you recover it. But like when we support ETH mainnet, it's just going to show up. And then eventually we'll be at a place where we'll have 2, 3, 4, 5 blockchains supported in the Giddy app. And you'll just send crypto kind of from almost wherever. It'll just show up and you can just stake into anything. You'll be like, oh, I sent ETH mainnet ETH and now I'm staking into like single asset Cake on BSC, but it's all just within the app, and the user is unaware of the difference between blockchains because they don't have to care. And that's the point. Like technology is supposed to serve us, not the other way around. Yet until the robots take over.
Right. Well, that's essentially creating a multi-chain ecosystem through the wallet on the wallet level. Yeah. Is anyone else doing this that you know of?
So there are definitely native mobile wallets out there that are they have multiple chains. I think there's one or two that have like a cross-chain swap. That feature's not super common, but what you're going to
You
see,
definitely have to hold a native gas token for each chain. That's not abstracted at all. So it kind of is the answer. It kind of exists, but absolutely nothing like what I'm describing. Not this easy.
What you're going to see is either a seed phrase. Pretty much all these wallets, they require you to back up your own seed phrase. It's still a single point of failure. A couple of them have you upload that seed phrase to iCloud, which I think there's a lot to be said about that. Arguably, it's more secure than like writing it on a sticky note. So you're either going to see a seed phrase or you're going to see a contract wallet, which kind of has some of the limitations I was talking about earlier. And for the most part, these wallets are going to allow you to own a token. You can send it or you can swap. We are the first to have native mobile, like native DeFi integrations that allow you to go from pretty much any token to being staked into DeFi in just one go.
Yeah. What chains will you be on in the next 6 months?
ETH mainnet first, definitely. There's obviously, Optimism, Arbitrum, Avalanche, BSC, even Polygon's ZK EVM is interesting. Where we go after ETH mainnet, we're having those discussions, but the plan is to add as many of them as we can as fast as possible.
Sure, and the user experience should be seamless. It should feel as if they're not even crossing chains, essentially.
You got it. Yeah, and in the UI, we'll have a little bubble that says like this is this blockchain for those. But for those, let's say like a total normie jumps into the app at a point when we have 3 blockchains and they're just going to trade stuff and stake stuff and not really care, that's a great day. Yeah,
nice. How about the technology? Do you have other thoughts or ideas, other applications for it?
Yeah. So this is another thing that I felt strongly about since the beginning is the things that we're building. I want them to become common. I want this. So gas abstraction, the ability so we've completely removed smart contract approval vulnerabilities. There's approval front running that happens. There's approval bugs. So just recently, everyone needed to remove their approval from SushiSwap because there was a bug where someone could drain your funds. Right. There's a couple things that I want to become ubiquitous in the space because they increase security, they increase user experience. So once our platform and our tech stack is fully baked, I really want to look into doing licensing, doing open source. That's kind of one thing. And then the other part of that question is what I see happening in the space right now, and this has been happening for years, but we're closer than ever to having really, really amazing use cases available, and also closer than ever to having the user interface available and usable to normal people. So here in Utah, actually, one of the counties, they passed a bill that says that your marriage license on the blockchain, that property has the exact same rights as the physical piece of paper. It was issued by the state. It means the exact same thing. So if you go to some government building and you have your marriage license on the blockchain, it means the same thing. So when you think about like your driver's license, your marriage license, like why does that even matter? Why do we even care? So for one thing, trying to if you ever lose it, trying to recreate those documents is such a burden. It's such a headache. It takes tons of time for you. It's expensive for the state level, the government. So putting it on the blockchain means that it's going to be recoverable, that it lives forever. Yep. And then it saves time for normal people. So and that might sound like kind of a trite or maybe a specific example, but those kinds of things are happening more and more and more. The more we see a use case built out, we need to connect people with it. We need to connect people with that use case on the blockchain, and the technology we're building is going to be right there in the middle, providing this native, intuitive integration between those two things. So, as far as what the future holds, I have some favorite pet projects. I have some things that I really like. I really want to see a lot of different middlemen, specifically like in the medical industry, eliminated by blockchain. Like, let's make that more efficient. Let's get costs down. Let's make sure people get treated better, that kind of thing. So we're going to be able to integrate whatever comes because of the way we built the tech stack. But in the short term, it's stuff like, I think payments is going to be big. Obviously, DeFi is great. Earning yield is awesome. Swapping your favorite tokens is obviously a great use case as well.
Yeah, Utah is really forward thinking when it comes to blockchain. We have this blockchain coalition, they're calling it. And it's, I don't know, 10, 15 people from executives from various companies. Our CFO and Chief of Finance Compliance is on that coalition. And he's helped write bills, pass bills, consult on the tax ramifications. And so, like, yeah, like, it's true. One of the counties has already kind of passed this thing about marriage licenses on blockchain. And when that grows and when that happens, we like to think that Giddy is ready and waiting to support anything because we have the best private key recoverable technology to support it.
So does Giddy support NFTs?
It's not in there yet.
Mhm.
Oh man, we have it all completely designed and ready to go. Around the time that who was it? Oh, Coinbase. They wanted to put NFT support in their non-custodial wallet, and Apple said, "No way! It's paying for gas is in-and-out purchase." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So we kind of sidelined that for just a minute because there's some other really important tech that we wanted to build. So it drives me crazy. We actually have an NFT collection that we did. These like cactus guys. You can see it in our Discord or whatever. It drives me nuts, but it is yet another high priority thing. I've only got about 100 high priority things.
Sure.
Yeah,
But,
and that's definitely something we've thought about because you got like, and Polygon's biz dev team went nuts last year. Congrats to those guys. But the Starbucks stuff, the Nike stuff currently.
Yeah.
I mean, there's big Disney, there's big brands that really want to do NFTs. But the question still remains, if the average person has an NFT with a big brand, Starbucks, Nike, whatever, what wallet are they using? And is it recoverable? Is it non-custodial, et cetera? So we like to think that we're ready to support that when the time comes.
Nice. Well, so that begs the question. I have at least a dozen wallets. What do you see happening in the future? Or is that, am I going to have 100 wallets at some point, or is Giddy or some other technology going to differentiate themselves that where everything can be done through one wallet?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I hope we don't have 100 wallets. That would
Me
be
too.
That would be unfortunate. I kind of see it. I look at it in two different ways. I think that we're going to see some winning brands. As technology scales, people really need a touch point, one way that they can kind of establish trust. And I think the brand has a lot to do with that. And then the details really matter, like what use cases you support, how safe it is, how fast it is, how cheap it is, that kind of thing. And then the technology itself, I see. So we have a solution to the private key problem, right? We've done this MPC wallet with all these different features. There are other solutions out there, and I think that we're still kind of in this phase of testing which ones have the legs, really have the ability to make it in the long run. They have to be scalable, they have to be secure, they have to be fast. Like the security design, the architecture around it has to be completely solid. So I think that it's going to take a little while for the dust to settle, for it to really become clear what the favorites are. But we're definitely putting our best foot forward for the solution that we've created. So I think it's kind of inevitable that we're going to have a handful of brands that people like and trust. Right now, there's multiple dozens of wallets that you can choose from. But we're making a bet on native mobile being important, on usability being important, recoverability, security, and yeah, I guess we'll see how that pans out. But we feel pretty good about our strategy in the market.
Sure, and you do have a patent on the security technology.
On the private key stuff,
we've got a few of them filed now.
Nice. NFTs. What industries? Oh, do you have any other upcoming? Do you have any other upcoming features for the wallet?
Yeah. So we just shipped swaps. They're being run by 1inch. So we have a couple of other plans for making quotes. Basically the best possible transaction for the user with the least amount of slippage and price impact, stuff like that. We're going to do kind of like an internal backend upgrade to make sure that swaps and also staking and unstaking are really, really efficient. And then in the near future, going to ETH mainnet is pretty huge for us. We're also going to be, after we do some kind of internal upgrades, we're going to be adding in a lot more staking pools to the app. There's not a ton in there. I think there's 10 or 15 maybe, but we basically want to add and support as many things as you can possibly want, assets and also staking strategies. And then there's some upgrades coming to the security of the wallet itself. So it'll become a lot more kind of flexible in the kinds of factors that protect your wallet. and how you can recover, and being able to add security or reduce security if you choose to. And then a lot of it, this past year and a half, we've been building out the foundational technology and kind of proving that it works, and adding products on top. So over the next year, a lot of what we're going to be focused on is cross-chain, and then adding a ton more protocols to the app. And obviously we keep our ear to the ground for there's a couple of other things that are interesting to me, like decentralized social, having your identity that's kind of like built into your wallet, basically. I have some ideas for how we can support that and kind of make it usable and fun, but for the most part, we're going to be focused on DeFi in the near future, and then as that gets solid, as we can kind of grow that, we'll look at other use cases as well.
Yeah. Do you guys have thoughts on like to what extent DeFi will disrupt traditional finance industry? I mean, it already has, but where do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean, you're already seeing people like Visa and MasterCard and Chase and whoever do blockchain stuff, make their own internal blockchains for transfers and whatnot. So yeah, I guess they're already sort of disrupting themselves in some small ways, but I think one really interesting thing to be seen and how it affects everything is FedNow this summer, which is almost like kind of like the government disrupting their own payment system with a supposedly immediate one that feels a lot like blockchain. Who knows if it is or not? But yeah, no, I think one thing that is kind of like the elephant in the room for American small business is 3%. Everybody's paying credit card companies 3%. It's been happening for a very long time. To me, that's ripe for disruption. When crypto wallets become more ubiquitous, when peer-to-peer payments, when people realize that it's fast and free, basically, it's like, why are we not all buying our lunch with crypto, and even charging? The small business is now paying maybe 1%, maybe less. To me, that's ripe for disruption. And even peer-to-peer payments themselves in the United States, you've got like Venmo and Zelle, and out of the US, I don't know. There's just like there's other solutions, but moving money between countries, especially, is very hard in a lot of ways for a lot of people. I think blockchain just turns that on its head. Like right now, today, I can send somebody 20 grand in another country with the Giddy app, fast and free, immediately, as opposed to slow and $2,500 a week or per month limit. There's all kinds of stuff that where TradFi stands to get disrupted, I think.
Yeah, my daughter goes to school in Montreal, and we send her money every once in a while. And I've been trying to convince her to get a crypto wallet, but until then, like we have to jump through hoops just to send her $1,000. Right. And lose percentages on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so horrible. I was talking to somebody recently that like spent some volunteer time in Africa a couple of years, and he was saying that one way, and this blew my mind. I never knew this before, just a couple of days ago, but he said that because traditional banking is just not available, electronic banking, mobile apps, all that stuff is not available, the way people are transferring value to one another from peer to peer is cell phone minutes. They're saying like, here, have 100 cell phone minutes. I'll pay you back with 12 cell phone minutes. It's mind blowing. It's like, just use Giddy.
Right.
I think one of the biggest opportunities for disruption is going to come when there's more opportunities to get paid and make payments that are solely on the blockchain. One of the biggest points of frustration for people and friction is on-ramping cash to the chain and then off-ramping it to your bank. And I think that
or for products directly,
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Is like as soon as we get to the point where there's a lot more options to spend your money on the blockchain and get paid on the blockchain, that's where I think a lot of this starts to really become interesting. As far as like retail investors getting into DeFi, I do think there's still some room for growth there. As far as like institutions using blockchain technology, I think there's room for growth there as well. There's a lot of inefficiency that we can kind of help with the blockchain system, but I think it's really going to take off for most people when there's obvious use cases like payments, like payroll, for your identity on the blockchain.
And more fluid payments, right? I mean, that's something that is definitely facilitated through crypto, micropayments or more fluid payments. Yeah, so you guys are innovative business guys. Besides besides the industries that we've talked about today, what others do you think are ripe for Web3 tech? Like if you were to start another business right now, is there something that you'd be interested in dabbling in?
Yeah,
in Web3.
I always think so. The year was 2015. I was working at Owlet Baby Care as a mobile apps developer. There's this app that came out called Uptick, and it was paper trading, but they paid you in Bitcoin when you won. It's like, and so I found this hack in the app where I could just like restart it and try again, and I would always like lever up Bitcoin and trade it, and they would pay me like $25 a week in PayPal. So I can't help but think like, you know, just Flappy Bird with a leaderboard, and the top person every week gets like some crypto. But that's a goofy, silly idea.
That's a pretty good one.
We could probably just like stuff it into our own app someday. But
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
I can't get that out of my mind. It was just so addicting to play a game and get paid in real money. I mean, obviously, professional gaming, it's out there. It's awesome. But for the average person to play a silly game and get paid a little bit of crypto is just really fun. And I know a lot of people have already thought of that and are doing it. But yeah, anyway,
we actually made a game in the early weeks of this company, where it was going to be based around a native mobile game where you can kind of compete with other people and use tokens and stuff. We ended up shelving that one. So I guess a little bit of context there. A lot of us here have been game developers in a previous life, so we kind of have those chops. We're all into gaming in a different way. So Web3 and games is absolutely interesting. I would love to dabble in that. And I mentioned this earlier, but I really want to disrupt the kind of the bloated parts of the medical industry. The fact that there are people out there who you can basically do swaps on insurance policies, right? Like someone who is super sick, a different insurance provider can be like, oh, I totally want to buy that person's chemo for the next 12 years. I think the fact that that's happening and that those people have so much power to lobby politicians to set prices for medicine and kind of like control this whole system there's a lot of conflicting interests, and there's a lot of bloat that I would love to get in there and just cut that out. I think that we can get a lot more transparency, even just your medical records on the blockchain. Mm-hmm. If you can own them, we can set up a zero knowledge layer so that you can prove that they're yours, but you only share it with like the right people. I've had a lot of ideas around that because it impacts so many people. Like you hear these stories all the time that like, we have a family member, a nephew who had type 1 diabetes, right? Mm-hmm. Didn't do anything wrong, just an autoimmune thing. And that insulin is ridiculously, almost prohibitively expensive. And anyway, I think that is an uphill battle. That is a huge thing to solve. But I can see some ways that blockchain and Web3 could really add some efficiencies and just actually help people.
Well, efficiencies is a good term to throw in there. You're preaching to the choir, Eric. I'm a physical therapist by training. I owned a practice for 20 years, and the biggest headache of owning and running a medical practice is the lag time for payment. So that's from the provider side. There's of course there's so much red tape as a patient, but same thing happens on the other side as well, where insurance companies are the central focus of medical care in this country. They control all the purse strings, and they have all the power. So I'm picturing a future where health insurance policies, as opposed to being swapped by insurance companies, they could be decentralized and absolutely. Well, I mean, more importantly though, for the provider side, is to be able to write a medical note following a treatment, particularly if it's pre-authorized. Write the note, drop it into a system, decentralized system, and get paid automatically.
Oh man!
And there's no reason that shouldn't happen.
Totally. I remember maybe a year and a half ago or so, Mark Cuban was on a podcast where he mentioned there was a protocol working on farming insurance, and they had a pretty interesting system where, based on weather and like actual events plus upcoming, these farmers they wouldn't have to pay very much until they were really close to a potentially bad event, and then the insurance goes up or down or whatever. It's a lot smarter. It's way more transparent, and man. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a massive topic, and it's probably going to take a lifetime to actually affect any real change. But man, I think it's a worthy cause.
Yeah, well, we should all talk about this offline, and I'll bring in my buddy Joe King, who is he's an associate at Bankless Consulting, who has a background in insurance, not auditing, assessments. So he's been out there, and we've talked about this at length, and I think it is absolutely an industry that's ripe for the picking for this space. So what else? You guys want to throw anything else out there?
I think so. Basically, try the app. Anyone listening who hasn't tried it yet?
Giddy.co, right?
Yeah, Giddy.co is a website. Android, iOS, we're available in 151 countries.
Awesome.
What I'll say about it is our approach to DeFi, to crypto, it's pretty new. It's pretty different. So if you're a huge crypto head, you're going to understand what we're doing. You'll understand how it works. It takes one try. As soon as you stick into something once, you'll get it. You can kind of see the vision. So grab the app. You can hop in our Discord, talk to us. We have a full-time customer support person who just absolutely loves to chat and help get people started. Once you've experienced it, you'll kind of get what we're talking about. And we're working like crazy to improve, and we're shipping new stuff every day. So give the app a try. We'd love to hear from anybody who wants to dabble. But that's nice. Kind of the big thing is once you've done it once, you'll get it. It's just magic.
Yeah. As I said, I played around with it a little bit this morning. I found it super easy in comparison to other wallets that I've used in the past, and I would I could recommend this to people who have not used the wallet before, or who have just like given up on wallets because it's just over their head. It's way simpler and way more accessible. So
yeah, thanks so much. That's really high
kudos
praise.
to you guys. Right on.
And like we think that it's obviously going to be, like Eric said, very understandable. Like DGens are going to be like, how did you do that? That's crazy. But like what I think is cool is now friend of DGen can feel safe playing around with DeFi, rather than like sometimes DGen has friend of DGen. They're like, do this and this, and then they go off on their own and just get wrecked. Like they don't know what's going on. And so now I think it just opens it up to an audience that's much larger. And then one kind of elephant in the room actually that we're adding very, very soon is an off ramp. We have like 5 different on ramps: Coinbase Pay, Transact, Sardine. And a couple more coming, but off ramps on Polygon has actually been a very difficult topic this whole last year, with banks going down, with third-party providers saying they have something when they don't. Like, we've gone through it all, but finally there will be a very simple off ramp in the app very soon. So we're happy to announce that, and that's really important, especially for brand new people. People are like, wait, I can put money in, but I can't take it out. And it's like, no, you can send it through to Coinbase or whatever you want. But that's confusing. And so we're excited to have kind of like the full circle, easy mode for everybody.
That's big. That's big. Thank you guys for taking the time today. This is a great conversation. And we'll be posting it soon.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.